Hey, my friend, I wasted 5 years learning English the wrong way. And the worst part is this: I was not lazy. I was not careless. I was working hard. I was memorizing words. I was watching videos. I was writing grammar rules in notebooks. I was saving English phrases on my phone. I kept telling myself, one day when I know enough English, I will finally speak confidently. But that day never came. Month after month, year after year, I was collecting more English, but I was not becoming an English speaker. And maybe this is exactly where you are right now. You understand English better than before. You can watch videos, you can read captions, you know the difference between past, present, and future. But when someone suddenly asks you a question in English, your mind freezes, your mouth becomes slow, your confidence disappears. You start translating from your language. You search for the perfect sentence. And by the time you finally prepare the answer in your head, the conversation has already moved on. This is not because you are stupid. This is not because English is impossible. It is because most learners are training the wrong skill. Here is the secret I wish I knew 5 years earlier. English speaking is not a knowledge problem. It is a response problem. It is not about how much information you have stored in your brain. It is about how quickly and calmly your brain can respond in real time. The goal is not to collect more English forever. The goal is to build a speaking reflex. A reflex does not wait for permission. It does not translate. It does not open a grammar book inside your brain. It simply responds because it has been trained through repetition. This is why you can answer questions in your native language without planning anything. The words come because your brain has heard them, used them, and connected them to real life thousands of times. In English, most learners do the opposite. They study English like a school subject, then expect to speak it like a living language. That is the mistake. English becomes yours when you train your brain to use it under pressure, with simple words, real sentences, and daily repetition. Today I want to give you the lessons I wish someone had forced me to understand when I started. These lessons would have saved me years of confusion and silent embarrassment. The first thing to understand is that English is not information. It is a reaction. Speaking happens in real time. Someone says something, you understand it, your brain chooses meaning, your mouth creates sound, and all of this must happen fast enough to keep the conversation alive. This is why many learners feel shocked that they can understand English but cannot answer it. Understanding and speaking are not the same skill. Understanding is recognition. Speaking is production. Recognition is easier because your brain only has to identify meaning. Production is harder because your brain has to build meaning, choose words, and respond quickly, all at once. Think about the difference between watching someone swim and swimming yourself. You can watch swimming videos every day. You can learn about arm movement and breathing rhythm perfectly in theory. But if you jump into the water without physical practice, your body will panic. Why? Because swimming is not just information. It is coordination and muscle memory. English speaking is the same. You can understand a lesson perfectly, but if your speaking muscles have never trained, your mouth will not obey you when pressure arrives. This is why you freeze. Freezing is not proof that you do not know English. It is proof that you have not trained response speed. When someone asks, "What did you do yesterday?" your brain opens too many files at once. Past tense, word choice, fear of mistakes, translation from your language. A simple question becomes a mental traffic jam, like too many cars trying to leave a parking lot through one small gate at the same time. The solution is not to add more traffic. The solution is to clear the road by training short automatic responses every day. You take common questions and answer them again and again until your brain stops treating them like exams. What did you eat today? I ate rice and chicken. What did you do last night? I watched a video and slept early. These sentences feel too simple, but simple is exactly where fluency begins. A person who can answer clearly with basic words is more powerful in conversation than a person who knows beautiful vocabulary but freezes at the right moment. From today, stop asking only how much English I know. Start asking how fast I can use the English I already know. That question changes everything, because you probably already know enough English to speak more than you think. Your problem is often not lack of vocabulary, it is lack of access. The words are there, but they are slow. Now, if you always translate before speaking, do not blame your brain. Your brain is doing exactly what you trained it to do. For years, many learners connect every English word to a word in their own language first. At the beginning, translation feels helpful because it gives you control, but later it becomes a cage because a real conversation does not wait for your inner dictionary. When someone asks you a question, you cannot take 10 seconds to build the answer in your language and then convert it. By the time you finish translating, the natural rhythm of the conversation is gone. You feel late, you feel embarrassed, and you start believing you are bad at English when actually you are just stuck in a slow process. Translation also creates strange sentences, because every language has its own structure and logic. And when you translate word by word, you dress your native language in English clothes. You cannot remove your native language overnight, and you should not try. But you can reduce translation by training direct English connections, meaning you connect English words directly to feelings and situations, instead of always connecting them to your language first. When you hear the word hungry, your brain should feel the situation, empty stomach, and need for food, not search for a translation. This is why phrases are more powerful than single words. If you memorize the word available, you may struggle to use it. But if you learn the phrase, "Are you available tomorrow?" you immediately know where it belongs. English lives in phrases, not isolated vocabulary. To train this, you use a daily habit called English first response. Pick normal questions and force your first answer to come directly in English, even if it is basic. How was your day? It was tiring but okay. Why are you late? I got stuck in traffic. At first, your brain will resist and want to translate because it feels unsafe without your native language. That is normal. You are changing a habit. But after enough repetition, your brain builds English shortcuts and stops traveling through translation for every small sentence. This is when speaking becomes lighter. You stop carrying a dictionary on your back. Grammar matters. Let us be honest about that. But grammar is a map, and speaking is the journey. You can stare at a map for years and still never learn how to walk the road. Many learners become grammar prisoners. They know the names of every tense and every clause, but when they speak, they are terrified because they are trying to consciously control grammar while also having a real conversation, and that is too much pressure at once. No one speaks naturally by checking every rule in real time, not native speakers or fluent non-native speakers either. They use patterns they have repeated so many times that grammar becomes automatic. This does not mean you should ignore grammar. It means you should change how you train it. Instead of only studying the rule for the present perfect, subject plus have plus past participle, practice the pattern as speech. I've already eaten. I've never tried that. Have you seen this? When you repeat these in real contexts, grammar becomes alive, and your brain stops thinking about the structure and starts feeling, this is how I talk about experience. Grammar becomes dangerous when it turns into fear. If you are afraid of every mistake, you speak less. If you speak less, your grammar never becomes automatic. If it is never automatic, you make more mistakes, and then you become more afraid. This cycle destroys learners. The way out is not perfection. It is controlled imperfection. You speak simple sentences, make small mistakes, notice them, and repeat a better version. A mistake you notice and correct is useful. A mistake you ignore forever becomes a habit. A practical way to train this is to take one grammar pattern and use it for a full week in real sentences. Not 10 patterns in one day, just one pattern for 1 week. This week, you train as I used to. You say sentences like, I used to wake up late, and I used to be afraid of speaking. By the end of the week, this pattern becomes easier, not because you memorized the rule harder, but because your mouth practiced it repeatedly. Most learners are obsessed with vocabulary. They think the reason they cannot speak is because they do not know enough words. Sometimes that is true, but often it is not. Many learners already know thousands of words but cannot use them when speaking, which means the problem is not vocabulary size, it is vocabulary ownership. There are words you recognize, and there are words you own. Recognized words help you understand. Owned words help you speak, and these are not the same thing. You may understand the word opportunity when you read it, but can you use it quickly in a sentence while speaking, under pressure, without stopping to think? If not, you do not fully own it yet. This is why vocabulary lists become a trap. You write 20 new words in a notebook and you feel productive, but after 3 days, most of those words are dead because they were never connected to your real life. A word becomes yours only when you use it repeatedly, out loud, in meaningful sentences. If you learn the word comfortable, do not just write the meaning, speak it. I feel comfortable here. I'm comfortable with simple English. When you use one word in many real sentences, your brain starts trusting it. You do not need 50 new words a day. That usually just means forgetting 47 of them. Instead, take 5 useful words and make them active. Use each one in 5 sentences. Ask questions with it and say it out loud. The most useful vocabulary is not the most advanced vocabulary. It is the vocabulary connected to your daily life, your work, your family, your routine, and your feelings. If a big fancy word slows you down, use a simple word instead. Clear English always beats decorated English. Another secret is that spoken English depends heavily on common connecting phrases, not rare words. Phrases like, to be honest, it depends, and that makes sense. I see what you mean. Let me think. These phrases keep conversations moving and give your brain time. If someone asks, do you like working from home? A weak learner freezes, searching for the perfect vocabulary. A trained speaker starts with a phrase, to be honest, it depends. I like it because it saves time, but sometimes I feel lazy at home. Build yourself a small phrase bank organized by real situations, opinions, daily life, problems, and conversations, and you will find you can speak smoothly, even with basic vocabulary. Many learners watch English videos for years and believe they are practicing speaking. They are partly right. Listening is important. You need to hear natural rhythm and real sentence patterns. But passive listening alone will not make you a strong speaker, because listening and speaking are connected, but they are not identical skills. Most learners listen like consumers. They watch, they understand, they enjoy, and they move on. That is fine for entertainment, but weak for improvement. If you want to speak better, you must listen like a speaker, which means while you listen, you ask not only what this means, but also if you can say this. Every useful phrase you hear becomes material for your own speaking. When you hear someone say, "I didn't really think about it that way," a passive listener just understands it and moves on. A speaker hears it and thinks, "That is useful, I can use that," and then repeats it in their own life. This is also where two powerful physical techniques come in, and I want to explain them together because they work best as one habit. The first is shadowing. You take a short audio clip, 30 seconds is enough, and you speak along with it at almost the same time, like a shadow following a person, matching the rhythm and the rise and fall of their voice as closely as you can. You will not catch every word at first, and that is fine, because your goal is not perfect accuracy. Your goal is to copy the natural music of the language, the flow that connects words together, the way people actually speak, not the way words look separated in a textbook. Do the same 30 seconds 5 or 6 times in a row, and by the 4th or 5th repetition, something interesting happens. Your mouth starts moving more easily, because shadowing trains your speech muscles directly, the same way practicing a physical movement trains your body. You cannot learn to swim by reading about swimming. Your muscles need to feel the movement, and your mouth cannot learn English rhythm just by studying grammar rules either. The second technique is recording yourself, and I want to be honest about why most people avoid this. When you record yourself speaking and play it back, you hear yourself from the outside for the first time, not the version inside your head, which always sounds better than it really is. You hear the real hesitations, the words you say too quietly, the sentences that lose direction halfway through. Most people hate this the first time and want to delete the recording immediately. I want you to hear this clearly. Discomfort is not a sign you are bad at English. It is a sign your ear has become more sensitive than your mouth, meaning your listening has already improved enough to notice what your speaking still needs. That gap is not failure, it is exactly where improvement happens. So record 1 minute about your day or any topic, then play it back, not to judge yourself, but to notice just one specific thing to improve next time. Not 5 things, just 1. Then record again. Do shadowing and recording together as one small daily habit. And within a few weeks, your natural rhythm and your confidence in your own voice will both improve in a way nothing else gives you as quickly. Many learners are waiting to feel confident before they speak English. This is one of the biggest traps, because confidence does not come before action. It comes after repeated action. You do not become confident by waiting. You become confident by proving to yourself again and again that you can survive speaking. Fear does not disappear because you think about speaking. It disappears when your brain experiences speaking and realizes you did not die. You made a mistake, but nothing terrible happened. You forgot a word, but you found another way to say it. That is how confidence is built. The problem is that learners often confuse confidence with comfort, wanting speaking to feel comfortable from the very beginning. It will not, because speaking a new language is uncomfortable. It exposes you. Your hesitation is visible, and your limitations appear in real time. But discomfort is not danger, it is training. The goal is not to remove nervousness completely. The goal is to speak while nervous until nervousness loses its power over you. The fastest way to build this is to lower the size of the speaking challenge, but increase how often you do it. Do not wait for one big important conversation. Have many small speaking moments instead. Say one sentence to yourself in the morning. Answer one question out loud. Talk for 1 minute about your day. These small wins teach your brain that speaking is normal. Most learners do the opposite. They avoid speaking for weeks and then suddenly face a big conversation and panic, which is like never exercising and then trying to run a long race. Of course, your body collapses. You need small daily reps instead. You also need to change how you measure success. A successful conversation does not mean 0 mistakes. That is childish thinking. A successful conversation means you communicated something, you stayed present, you answered, and you repaired the sentence when you needed to. If you define success as perfection, you will always feel like a failure. If you define it as communication, you will improve faster. And here is something worth remembering. Most people are not thinking about your English nearly as much as you fear. Your nervousness makes you feel like the center of an imaginary judging audience, but in reality, most people simply want to understand your message. Let me tell you about someone I know who went through exactly this middle struggle. His name is Min. He started training this way, using self-talk, shadowing, and recording himself daily. In the first month he was excited, new phrases stuck easily, and it felt like magic. Then month 2 arrived, and he told me he almost quit 3 times. He said, "I understand more, but I still freeze sometimes. I feel stuck at the same level for weeks." He almost stopped recording himself, because listening back stopped feeling exciting and started feeling frustrating. But he told himself one thing: I will judge my progress after 3 months, not after 3 weeks. He kept doing the same small daily actions, even when they felt pointless. Nothing changed dramatically week to week. But at the end of month 3, he was in a real conversation with a coworker, and for the first time he responded without translating in his head. First, the English just came out. He told me it did not feel like a sudden breakthrough. It felt like something that had quietly been building the whole time and simply became visible that day. That is what surviving the hardest middle stretch actually looks like. Not a dramatic transformation, but a quiet accumulation that eventually shows itself. Everyone wants exciting improvement, new lessons, new apps, and new methods. But fluency is actually built in boring repetition, and this is the truth most learners do not want to hear. You did not learn your native language by hearing every sentence only once. You heard the same patterns thousands of times as a child, and nobody complained it was boring. As an adult, you must bring that repetition back on purpose. Many learners keep jumping to new content before the old content becomes automatic, watching one video about phrasal verbs, then one about idioms, then one about slang, feeling busy while their speaking never actually changes because nothing gets repeated enough to become usable. The secret is depth before width. Do not ask how many lessons I watched. Ask how many sentences became automatic. One automatic sentence is more valuable than 20 lessons you can never actually use in the moment. You need a simple core routine that repeats daily. Something simple enough to do even when your motivation is low. Choose one topic and speak about it for 3 minutes. Choose 5 useful phrases. and make your own sentences with them. Listen to one short clip and shadow it. Record one short answer. That is enough to build real momentum if you do it consistently. The problem is never that learners do too little once. The problem is that they do not repeat the right actions long enough. They try speaking for 3 days, feel uncomfortable and stop. Then they say, "This method does not work." No, the method did not fail. You simply did not give it enough repetition. Fluency is not built by one intense day followed by 6 days of silence. It is built by 15 honest minutes every single day. You should repeat topics, not only words. Talk about your daily routine many times, your work many times, and your goals many times. The first time you struggle, the second time you remember some phrases, the third time you speak faster, and the fifth time you sound more natural. This is what real improvement actually feels like. Not sudden magic, but gradual smoothing. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel excited, some days you feel like quitting. And if your learning depends only on motivation, your progress will always be unstable. What you need instead is a system, something that tells you exactly what to do, even on the days you feel nothing. Here is a simple daily system you can use starting today. First, listen to or read something short for 5 to 10 minutes. Second, choose 3 to 5 useful phrases from it. Third, make your own sentences using those phrases out loud. Fourth, speak for 2 to 5 minutes on that topic. Fifth, record yourself and notice just one thing to improve. That is the whole system, and it does not require 3 hours. It requires honesty and consistency. You should also protect yourself on bad days, because bad days will come. You will be tired or busy or stressed. On those days, your system should not collapse completely. Set a minimum rule. Even if it is only 1 minute of speaking, do that 1 minute. This keeps the habit alive and stops one missed day from quietly becoming one missed week. And if you feel like you have no one to speak with, remember that your environment can still include your phone recorder, voice messages, reading out loud, self-talk, and shadowing, all done completely alone. Do not wait for perfect conditions. They are rare. Build your system inside imperfect conditions, because that is exactly what serious learners actually do. The deepest change of all is not vocabulary, not grammar, and not pronunciation. It is identity. At some point, you must stop seeing yourself as someone who is always preparing to speak English and start becoming someone who actually speaks it, even imperfectly, even nervously, but who speaks. Many learners keep repeating sentences like, "My English is bad," "I always make mistakes," and "I am too shy." And if you repeat these every day, they become mental commands that your brain starts protecting, and you avoid situations that could challenge that identity, which means you speak less, which then seems to prove the identity true. It becomes a trap. You do not need to lie to yourself and say, "I am fluent," if you are not. That kind of fake confidence is weak and hollow. But you can say something more honest and far more powerful. "I am training myself to speak English every day." That sentence creates action instead of pretending. It tells the truth, and a person in training is expected to make mistakes and expected to improve, both at once. The way you speak about yourself shapes your behavior. If you keep saying, "I am bad at English," your brain hears an ending, a closed door. If you say, "My English is improving because I practice speaking," your brain hears an open process. You must also stop hiding behind quiet intelligence. because some learners are smart enough to analyze every grammar rule and compare every method perfectly, but never do the uncomfortable work of actually opening their mouths, and their intelligence quietly becomes a hiding place instead of a tool. English rewards use, not just understanding. You should create small proof of your new identity every single day. Not dramatic proof, just one recording, one spoken answer, one corrected mistake, or one moment where you chose to speak instead of staying silent. These small proofs accumulate. After 30 days, you are no longer just someone who wants to speak English. You are someone who has actually been speaking it daily for 30 days, and that quietly changes how you see yourself. After 90 days, the change becomes even stronger. Your mouth is more comfortable, your fear is lower, and your mistakes become easier to notice and fix. You may still not be perfect, but you are no longer stuck in the same place, because now you have evidence, and evidence builds identity far more powerfully than motivation ever does. The real secret I wish I knew 5 years ago about this. You do not become a speaker by learning until you finally feel ready. You become ready by speaking before you feel ready. The old method says learn more than speak. The reset says speak with what you already know, then learn exactly what you discover you need to know. This single shift saves years, because when you actually speak, you discover your real gaps, not imagined ones, but the real words you are missing, the real sounds that are unclear, and the real topics that make you freeze. Then your studying becomes targeted instead of random. Output reveals the truth. Silent study only hides it. You can feel fluent inside your own head because no one is ever challenging you there. But the moment you speak, the truth appears. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable, but a painful truth is always more useful than a comfortable illusion. So starting from today, become the kind of person who speaks. Not perfectly, not loudly for no reason, just consistently. Speak when you are practicing completely alone. Speak when you are answering a simple question. Speak when you are recording yourself. Speak simply, speak clearly, and then speak again tomorrow. If you have been learning English for years and still cannot speak the way you want, you do not need to be harsh with yourself, but you do need to be honest. Maybe you did not fail because you were lazy. Maybe you failed because you were training the wrong thing all along, training memory more than response, training silent understanding more than spoken action. That can change starting right now. The next 5 years do not have to look like the last 5 years. Watching or listening to this is not enough on its own. Feeling inspired by it is not enough. Saving this idea for later is not enough. The reset actually begins the moment you speak after this ends. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready. Today. Start with one simple question. Why am I learning English? And answer it out loud for 1 full minute right now. It does not need to be perfect. It only needs to exist. Tomorrow, answer it again. A little clearer, a little more naturally. If you make a mistake while doing this, good. Now you have something real to improve. If you freeze for a moment, good. Now you know exactly what to train next. The secret was never that you needed more time. The secret is that you needed better training. 90 days of honest speaking practice can change your direction more than 5 more years of passive watching ever could. So do not wait another year to feel ready. Speak and become ready through speaking. This is the speaking reset, and yours starts right now.